Emotional to look back upon it, but excited to see these teams play here tonight. Obviously there's a lot of new faces that are out here than the norm, and again, I think that's just a testament to the conference and the younger players coming in and mixing in. And
that's Tyler Irvine. I mean, of course we jinxed him right there.
He's got 5 home runs going into this game, leading the tournament.
Isn't he?
Yeah, it was 0-1, maybe 0-2.
2.
Yeah.
Yep. Chase Benfield. I forget all about that. I should have known that.
Line drive into the corner, and that's a good start for Competitive Edge. You get the feeling, especially against this major team, that you want to at least score 1 run here in the first inning. Joe Bolin, the third baseman. That's it to the right spot to fly, but it doesn't fly far enough.
It's nice to have a guy like that sitting on your bench, to come out here.
Flip Washington.
With a flip?
A little tapper for a base hit. Not what you expect.
No. I can say that, hey, as a leadoff hitter, as good as Flip is and much power, if you can get away with it, that's a team swing right there. That's a free hit.
There's a guy sitting next to me that did that a lot. Used to drive me absolutely incredible. There was nobody on first base.
Trying to do the things. They want to score runs. They want to get on the board. I know that obviously we've talked about it a couple times. I think every time you come into the booth, we talk about how great it is for Slowpitch, that the CEO of USSSA, obviously.
I think they banged him. I'm not sure, but I don't think Rip would. I think it's Rip coming out. I don't think Pat would be coming out there if the. So it has to be. So D-Dub just walked in, and he's saying that the umps have told him that you have to take a full swing. So they've eliminated the chop rule, and you have to take a full swing. I learned something new.
I guess my question to that is, what constitutes a full swing?
I would too, because he took a full swing. That's what I would have said too. And was it as fast as he could? But what do you do if you're hurt?
Right. Yeah. This event and what it's become over the years. We take it as a high priority. It is the pinnacle event of our sport. And, we definitely put a lot into, continuing to, for it to be that way for the players, fans, and everyone involved.
Ryan Harvey with a home run, and MPT Rentals has the early lead. That one hit well.
Yeah. Where I grew up, over the fence by 1 foot or 20 foot, it all counts the same, so it was hit plenty well. Oh, tried it again right there.
JoJo Bennett trying to go 2 for 2. It's going to go off the wall.
Going to be for 3 bags.
And a triple. And this is a great start for MPT Reynolds. He can obviously hit it, and he's got a gapper. It's going to make it 2-0.
Really, really good piece of hitting. People ask us all the time, why is the Major World Series played in a stadium when the majority of the year? Rad trying to leave the yard.
There you go.
Nicely done.
Tracked down in left field by Brandon Jackson.
I think it's here because there's 2 reasons. The athleticism really shines here. Plays like that you just saw there in left field. By Curse, I mean, I just think the athleticism that we get to see when you put these athletes in a stadium is where they shine the best. I honestly wish we could play the entire season in stadiums.
I agree 100%. I think to showcase, these athletes and the sport and where it's at, getting them on the bigger fields, and to your point, Coop, seeing the outfielders run and throw, and, even the infielders, it's not looking out there. I used to do it before I started playing at this level, coming to watch. There's so many holes. It looks so easy to hit, and when you miss, the person that hasn't been out there against the best pitchers and best defense in the country, you quickly realize when you get out there that it's not as easy as it looks in all these holes in big areas. There's some athletes that can cover them, and there's pitchers pitching to their defense and knowing people's strengths and weaknesses, so there's so much strategy that the average person doesn't realize.
And I know some people say they don't think it's an equalizer. You take a team like Silverbacks, you put them out here where every hit is a double, some are triples. I mean, it's just, to me, it is a bit of an equalizer. Power can pay off sometimes, but it's great to see a team like that just runs and runs and runs and runs. Ball. This was a stone-cold conspiracy against every right-handed hitter. Don't let it kid you. This was thought about.
And that's why the video board's out there in left field and not in right field, right?
Right, because that even helps by causing a wind tunnel to right field. This was all thought about. Don't kid your guys.
A bit more low scoring, obviously. It goes without saying than you guys would like from the U-Trip level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's kind of been an issue throughout the year. And I know it's common throughout the industry, just within the balls across the board. But yeah, the inconsistencies and obviously coming here once again as our flagship pinnacle event, maintaining the standard and integrity of the game from our perspective is first and foremost, and having an unknown come in here and have the ball not perform as well as it's supposed to, as well as the standard is. There's no doubt. I mean, it's disappointing. We're not happy about it. At the end of the day, all you can do is basically, deal with what the hand is dealt and do the best thing you can by the event. And for me, that's all we could do, coming into, starting on Thursday morning. And like I said, it's not ideal by any means, but, it will be something that, we'll have a little different process internally and really go to, to the far extreme to try to figure this thing out, so we don't have an incident like this again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these aren't balls that my brands that I work with manufacture, but I can say in their defense, and not trying to defend them, but in their defense, is that we have struggled, like Donnie has says, we have struggled across the board this year ourselves with consistency on balls and a lot of things coming out of COVID and factories and whatnot. So it's a battle right now for, like Donnie said, everyone in the industry. Not an excuse, but it's an absolute fact.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know the Smoky. There was, there was a similar outcome, and again, for us, as a player, I can put on my player hat, and really what you ask for is consistency, and when you show up, you want to know what you're hitting, and people have played here and they know the elements, and you prepare yourself for the month leading up to it to swing and take BP and train in the right manner. Now, it's easy to sit here and say that you're the best of the best and everyone should be able to adapt, because to some regard I agree, but going back to all these holes you see and how easy it looks, when the defenders start to realize the elements, it changes. And as a hitter, when you have to be perfect, whether it's a base hit or home run, again, it's the best pitching and defense in the world. It changes the game. Yeah, and the last thing, kind of, at least from my perspective, I mean, I know there's different codes on the balls, and generally the a DV is associated to the bat, and with where we sit today, I mean, every ZN softball that's out there in the market is at this place as we speak. And a bunch came in on Wednesday, that were obviously supposed to meet the standards, and it just didn't work out. And some of them were different codes, and we were testing balls individually to try to find better ones, and there was inconsistencies from almost ball to ball, let alone dozen in cases. So again, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, every effort that was made to, again, to try to get any ball that existed in the United States, here. And we did that, and unfortunately, again, it didn't change the fact of, wanting that standard of ball that we're used to.
And the code, there's been I've seen some stuff on the message boards, and we've been asking in the park, does that code mean it's a different formula or something? It's not, just a date code. And what it gives you as a manufacturer, we do the same thing at Worth. All the manufacturers who make bats are required to do the same thing, put a date code on it. So what it gives you the ability to go back and say, hey, in this window, what went wrong if something went wrong? And quite often you can narrow it down to, okay, it's a production run that happened in these 2 weeks or these 5 weeks, because the date code obviously changes as the month and the date changes. So it's good for us, and I know the folks at Dudley were here, they're working on it, and they didn't want this either. There's nobody that, on any side of it, don't care what manufacturer you are, because we're here to showcase our brands, we're here to showcase all of them.
When you're managers, I guess similar to what we saw Flip Washington do, you see them trying to adjust. You got to adjust as you see a called strike 3 here.
Not going to change. I mean, this is what the ball's going to be, and this is what the scores in the game's going to be the rest of the way.
Ground ball, they get the flip over to second, and that
that can come to fruition. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, very fortunate to be playing and us not get the crazy stuff that went down there. But as far as from a player's perspective, the weather and being able to play when it's not 95 with 90% humidity, there's no question. This is perfect weather for softball.
Irvine awaiting on deck. It's one where I know that you don't hustle it out, but part of me wonders whether if you hustle it out, did you have potentially a chance?
Well, listen, this isn't a knock on Jason Branch. He's been doing it a long time, but he's going to get a great hit right there. It's going to pay off. I was a little bit curious, as well as Irvine has been hitting it, is if they wouldn't slide him into the one hole just to get him that extra at bat.
Gap to gap. I mean, I assume he was going left center to right center there, but Jason's been at the top, for a long time. He's a great all-around player. I think sometimes undervalued in this game. He can play a lot of different positions. I know back in the day, and he can flat hit it.
So now.
Flip Washington does take a cut this time, but he's 0 for 2.
We were talking about balls, and off camera, Donnie and I were talking about, I don't know if you were around or not, Bernie, but we used to play the Major World Series in what we called sessions.
Yeah.
And so, because there wasn't a single ball supplier at the time that had a contract, and so balls, each session you would play with a different manufacturer's balls. And there would be times you knew, oh boy, we're in session 3, and it's not anywhere near as good as the ball that's in session 1 or session 4. And you'd watch the scores be 27-23, and then 4-3 in those sessions. So the ball things, we step back, Rhino with a...
Harvey is going to ground out 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the third.
And you use the folks that say you should try all these different balls in the tournament.
JoJo Bennett trying to get the first run.
Got it.
That one's off the Juno sign out there in left field.
You remember those days, Donnie?
Yes.
Thing that has changed for the conference, for the majors, how many more competitive teams there are now?
Listen, there's so much talent out here. That's knuckling. Got him. So to go back to the first inning, Bernie, on Flip's ball,
yeah.
Jason Oberlag, one of the great officials of USSSA history, sent me a note, texted me a note, and he says, D-Dub was correct, basically, that they changed it because they wanted to change the terminology, and it now reads, you cannot bunt or chop. And bunt is described in the book now as tapping the ball slowly. That's the definition of bunt, as he put. So his take was that was a slowed down intentional bunt. So it's a judgment call, and he said it's changed, and that's why they did it that way. So, in his opinion, getting to
that sounded good.
Sounded real good.
And it's gone.
And so with his ability to see, obviously, the replays that we showed, and Jason watching back at the house, I believe he tore an Achilles or neck. I knew he's injured, or he would be here probably on the home plate right now. I think he said they got the call correct. So I stand corrected on what I thought had happened.
As do I. So I apologize to our great officials out there, and good to hear that they did get it right. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Especially me, because I have a great reputation with the officials. So I want to be on the right side of this.
Hanika with his 4th home run, and they go back to back here in the 4th to tie the ball game. Mitch Lendensky, center fielder. Nobody out here in the 4th. Back-to-back home runs. Knocked down, and that's going to be a base hit, or we'll see. Logan Rogers now, 600 hitter in the tournament. 4 runs batted in, 2 doubles. 2 triples. This one's going to hold up just enough. This game to be so entertaining from Disney to here at Spacecoast Complex because of the innovation and because of the way it flies. As that one's going to be fair into the corner. And there's 2 in scoring position with 1 out here on the top of the 4th.
Yeah, and I think, what's happened over the last 15 years of home run limits, bat and ball combinations has really helped the game, because there was times when Donnie and I were coming up where everybody thinks it sounds fun, but 67-61 and 59-43
And by the way, Competitive Edge with their first lead of the ball game. Little bloopers are going to hold up enough. It does. Caught by Josh Kirsten, but a huge Radich at the plate leading things off.
It's amazing what softball, well, this not just softball, nice swing by Rat. has done for this community. You see what's springing up, the Wawas and the restaurants and the hotels, and you talk to the folks around.
No, there's no question. I mean, just even since we've been here, like you said, in the short time, the amount of hotels, restaurants, I mean, you know, Wawa coming right across there, which is going to be a hit. You know, Chick-fil-A across the street. You know, gas stations have run out of water, and you know, we've actually had Outback run out of food. That's a true story. So, you know, definitely it's great to kind of see the growth and kind of grow with, you know, with the county and again, be able to bring, you know, so many, you know, people from other states, you know, in here to, you know, to see this county and see, you know, the beach and Kennedy Space Center and all the other things that go along with, you know, with this beautiful facility.
Perfect location to come, right?
We've asked you not to talk about that because we like to always get our table over there, and it's getting harder and harder to get in. So if we could not promote that place and leave it for us, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Okay. That works. Castillo maybe not happy with the fact that it recorded it out, but the good news in this game is it's 4-4, and I think that's
or three that would be here at the end. So, you know, again, a testament to the game, the athlete, and what this conference has done. You know, what my dad's vision was when we first got into it was to get these younger kids out of baseball, playing at the lower levels, give them somewhere to aspire who want to play at that level. And
of the teams are literally layered with Division I athletes, and when I say that, it's not Division I athlete, and no disrespect, but to Cal Poly, Southern, Memphis Tech, they follow him that way, and so I think they're one of those kind of teams that if they're, you know, down 20, they still expect and think they're going to win, and that's the way it goes. And that's big right there when Farron can roll you over too, JB.
And, you know, would both be honest in saying we probably didn't.
It's a great play.
wow. And instead of going
the second and third, or maybe even a triple and a run scored, instead you got.
Yeah, that's in the corner. That's a triple for sure. The way he runs and hustles, JB had one of the great run-ins of USSSA history. I mean, there's not many guys that you can really say that about.
There's no doubt.
I was going to say, are you pitching around Tyler Irvine here? The answer was no, and probably pitching around was the better choice.
He's just freaky strong. I mean, we watched him last night single-handedly take Rismondo, and he hit one that way. He hit a short pitch out over the tree over there. Travis threw one in that literally looked like, from where we were saying, was going to hit him in the hip, and he spun and hit it like that. He's just strong.
He now leads this tournament with 6 home runs. That's his first hit of this game, though, believe it or not.
It's a good one.
Good time for it.
He is obviously having a great eye at the plate. Getting on board's getting on board. Obviously, he doesn't do it here, though.
No, absolutely. I mean,
rolled right over on it.
And fielded well by Radich over at first.
at bat is huge.
That's almost the same.
Well, so he gave it a little more jazz on that one, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I was competitive edge, I wouldn't ask the question again. Just mashed another one. Now that one's destroyed.
Climbs the scoreboard, and it puts MPT back on top 7-6.
Both now. The first one Jason considered a bunt and would have called him out, and that one he would have considered a chop and called him out.
Okay.
You know, like you said, a 3-run lead's probably like a 6
Big
or 7.
Big John can leave any park in America.
It's definitely a double.
And he got a 2-run advantage on a double by John Williams.
Nor was, you know, Dan or Woody Bell. And now, you know, each one of those teams that you just catch your eyes and your pop. And it's crazy to see how deep it is.
Kirsten, fly ball.
As the more comfortable they become, and they're not as fearful, and you know, again, it allowed them to develop, and you know, it's just continued, and here we are today. And that's what I like, because again, you know,
and it's a fun league, right? Because you got you know, all the great work that DW Dale Weiser does, conference USSSA.com. Every week you can get the articles, the updates, the the condensed videos if you miss them on YouTube, where basically you watch an entire game in 10 minutes. Which I know there's people that love to watch USSSA live, and we love the fans that watch them all weekend long. But you can also you'll be able to watch this game in 10 minutes in a couple days on our YouTube channel.
But I mean, you know, yourself and your background and being able to a quality product and deliver it and get it out there, and you know, and it is again, they're taking way too close of pitches. You know, again, it's allowed the game to get exposure, and I think for people to see it that might not actually be out here to see it. And again, I think that's a huge factor in where the game is today too. Is just the exposure and getting. I mean, you see the following on new triple option.
Finds themselves here in this winner's bracket final. Moment once again.
They're not easy to get to.
This one's going to hold up, and it held up just long enough for
with Sean and these guys. I know we had their committee meetings a couple weeks ago, and I know specifically on the conference, a lot of the thoughts moving forward are looking into, you know, minimizing the number of tournaments played, and you know, going to locations that check a lot of boxes. You know, easy to get in and out of with airports. You know, the over quantity and kind of taking all that into consideration. So I don't want to give away everything because I still think they're working through some things, but it has been taken into consideration. I think you'll notice that when you see the schedule coming out here shortly.
So if he can get you one step closer to the top.
And he does.
That's probably two of the way he runs.
That's a double.
And now a chance to tie it for competitive edge on second.
Good game, everything. The conference has lifted. You know, it can be a little cliche. You know, the tide raised everybody. Second bite. Oh.
Held up just enough.
And all over the spot. To me right now, you almost have to treat this like the bottom of the seventh if I'm MPT. This has got to be your absolute best at bats. Not that you're not always giving them, but it's kind of fine. Sometimes you got to find that 2-out seventh swing. They need to tag 3 or 4 on here, or they can find themselves having to score. Nobody wants to go there to get on the ground. He doesn't run as well as he once did, but
this one holds up. It's a long run.
Good spot.
It's going to end up being a double, and this is exactly what you want if you're MPT.
That's an interesting defensive set, though. He sees the field so well. Nope, he tried to hit it out.
Into the corner. Ballpark is going to hold it. It's still going to produce a run.
That's what Donnie said right there. You got to get at least 2 of those in a row like that.
That's a great at bat. Don't let him hit a home run in this situation.
Similar situation. You're going to get those 2 runs you asked for, Donnie.
That's a good at bat.
It is. It is.
Normally, I would say it's a horrible at bat here that he didn't try to bury one, but the way the ball's playing and the way this game, we've got
the game for a long time.
3-run lead for MPT. Jojo, opposite field, base hit. And Bennett is aboard with 2 outs.
John's another one that has a phenomenal eye.
You got a little greedy.
Foul out, which is...
And try to be prepared and ready for a big at-bat like this in a pressure situation. Definitely not an easy task.
Top of the lineup due up next. This one holds up enough, and it's caught out in right field.
Open his stance up a little, too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting swing.
Yeah, I would not have guessed on that one.
Thought about the last place I thought he was.
Facing 3 here in the top of the 7th, down to their final out.
The happiest thing MPT's about is that they're facing him with the bases empty finally. And that's what he did.
And on a line, MPT on to the championship game.
4 days ago, I don't think we would have picked. Maybe